Hey everyone, welcome back to XVolt Tech. And as many of you know, this is my iPod Classic 5th generation, which I've been using since about May of last year. As you can see, I've got 641 songs, 21 videos, about 64 gigs, and it is modified with a micro SD card and a front plate. I've had this for quite a while. The thing is, I am no longer using this. Now, I am using this. This is a Sony Walkman from about 2016 to 18, as you can see here. It's basically a modern day iPod. Really sick opening sequence there as well. It comes in this really nice metallic red color. This is the one I specifically chose, as it comes in a multitude of colors. And as you can see, it is a touchscreen and has a lot of controls here. Now, what's the reason why I picked this over continuing to use my iPod Classic? Well, they are both pretty much the same size, and I'll lay out my reasons. First of all, I wanted to switch away from using iTunes. While I could put Rockbox on this and just use it as a USB device just to transfer all the songs as if I was dragging and dropping, I did try putting Rockbox on this in the past, and it was not easy for me to use, so I just didn't bother and just kept the original iPod firmware and just kept using iTunes. Now I use Foobar 2000 since I'm not using this anymore, and it's much nicer music software to use. Another reason why I picked this one, besides the larger screen, is that not only does it have some more buttons, it has a micro SD card. Repairability is pretty decent. Of course, the headphone jack is a given on both of these. Plus, this just feels a lot nicer. It's made entirely of aluminum. It looks really nice as well. As well as this, it's pretty versatile. It has a built-in radio, audio recorder, it can be a USB DAC, and it has a really nice looking screen as well. While this can't play videos, so far in my experience, this has been really, really good. And also, one thing that this has that beats this by default, it has Bluetooth built in. So if you want to play this through your car, or through a modern car, or just play it through Bluetooth earbuds, this works first try. Same thing with the Bluetooth speaker, and you don't need any special mods for this. Plus, it's also drag and drop, and you can even add Mr. Walkman firmware onto it, which just adds more features to it than probably Rockbox could do on an iPod. And obviously, the iPod is much more well-known than the Walkman. Hell, the thing is, anytime I mention the Walkman, people think I'm talking about the old Walkman, the cassette player, and not the modern one. The reason it's not very well known is for a very good and specific reason. It was only really available in Japan. While it was also sold in the United States, it was mainly sold in Japan, as if you go on eBay and look for any listing of this specific model or any other Walkman just like this, they'll almost always be from Japan, which really shows why it's not very well known outside of there, and why if you mention it to anyone, they'll think you're talking about the old one. While the iPod was sold worldwide, and while some people nowadays would assume you're talking about the iPod Touch, especially Google, people know what an iPod is, and if they see you using one, they'll say, oh hey, you're using an iPod, that's pretty cool. And if they see you using the Walkman, they'll be like, what the hell is that, and why should I care? The thing is, these are also similar prices. The Walkman cost me about $100 to buy, and I had to get it imported from Japan, luckily for free shipping. However, I did have to do some modification to it to change the region from Japan to North America, to change the language to English, as it originally just came in Japanese and did not have any language setting. Actually, no, yeah, Japan does not have a language setting. However, because I changed it to North America, then changed the language, it let me set the region back to Japan while keeping English. The iPod does come with other language settings built in, but something like this would cost about the same price as that, as a modified iPod of this type would cost about $100 or more. Also, the Walkman came with this really nice leather case, which is really nice to hold and protects it against falls, while the iPod just has this and a back that gets scratched very easily. Now, to actually answer the question that I raised at the very start of this video, which for some reason I forgot to record, is why I actually stopped using the iPod and actually switched to the Walkman. Now, I did this for two main reasons. The first one is that my iPod actually started having device issues. I don't know why it's even happening, but I have not been able to fix it despite the amount of times I have restored my iPod. And it really only started happening after a couple months after I put in the micro SD card in the iFlash. And this could be a numerous amount of reasons. It could be the micro SD card itself, it could be the iFlash board, or it could be the hard drive cable that I ordered specifically to get it to work. I don't know what's the source of this issue, but I have not been able to fix it in the slightest. And whatever the issue is, I don't know. So I needed a new media player, because the issues that would happen is songs would just randomly decide to freeze. And it wasn't any specific songs. Sometimes the counter would just stop counting because the iPod froze, but the music would keep on playing until the music realized, I'm not supposed to be playing right now. So it stops doing it. Sometimes it even glitches and skips and replays over a specific segment over and over again. And I don't know what even happens to cause this. But this freezing would have to lead me to restart the iPod, and it'd be really annoying. And so I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. And the other reason that I switched is because of the battery. Now, the iPod is rated for quite a bit of listening time. And in my own testing, I've gotten my iPod to go 16 hours until it died on music, which is pretty good. However, my battery is not in its factory state. The battery in my iPod is 17, almost 18 years old. And so it is pretty worn out, especially after my use over the last year or so, almost a year and a half. And when I be using it for class, a lot of the time my music would actually, my iPod would actually lose battery pretty fast, and I'd have to recharge it after only a couple of days, which isn't really that big of a deal until I consider this thing. I've had this for about a week and a half, and I've only had to charge it up when I got it. It took like about an hour to charge up. However, I've not even seen the battery bar go down even one tick, which is really good, as Sony actually has it rated for maybe about 2 days of battery life, or whatever it says on the screen. Now, of course, it does depend on how you're listening to the music, what settings you have, but the fact that I can listen for that much longer than the iPod, and plus that I haven't had to charge it yet, is a really good sign that I made a really good choice in buying this over the iPod. Now, if you're looking to get a media player on your own and you're not sure which one of these to pick, I'd recommend, I don't know, it really depends on your preference, because if you use iTunes for music import, or if you're just going to Rockbox this, either one could work. Honestly, it's just that this one does have tactile buttons, so if you really need that button feel, or you're really into that iPod nostalgia, then sure, go ahead, get an iPod. But for more modern day purposes, ignore the people that say, oh, just use your phone, because I hate when people say that. Whenever I say I used an iPod, or whenever I used this MP3 player, people always go, oh, just use your phone for music. If anyone ever tells you that, tell them to shut the hell up and to shove their phone up their ass. But yes, I currently recommend using this because it's what I use now, and I quite like using this. The button choice is really good, the touchscreen is really good, audio file is really easy to work on, and plus, interface is really nice looking. Touchscreen is very easy to use, and plus this case just feels and looks great. So this is what I'm using now instead of my iPod, and I'll probably be selling this soon. I don't know if anyone watching this video is interested in buying this specific iPod. If anyone is, and I make the listing on eBay, I'll be sure to put the link in a pinned comment, and maybe you'll be able to buy this very same iPod owned by me if you even care about that. So leave a comment if you're interested in buying this, because I have a few other people that have been interested in buying this. I'll probably be listing this either sometime this month or sometime in January 2025, so we'll see where this goes. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.